So today we're going to complete the square. Completing the square is really super helpful to find the vertex. It's also really helpful to graph your quadratic equations, and it's really helpful especially for when we start doing the quadratic formula. So we're basically going to be doing what we did yesterday, but backwards. So I want to take a minute really quick and just review something with you, okay? So these first two problems are just review, and then I'll show you what it looks like to go backwards, okay? So let's go do x plus 3 squared. So you have some choices. You can write x plus 3 times x plus 3, and if you remember the pattern, you can go ahead and do that. So that's your other choice if you remember the pattern to just do it, okay? But if I FOILed all of this out, if I double distributed, right, I'm going to end up with an x squared. I'm going to get a plus 3x plus another 3x, and those are going to combine to be the 6x, and then 3 times 3 is 9, okay? So let's go follow that same pattern and go do the next one. So x minus 5 squared, following the pattern, okay, I'm going to get, so x plus 3 became an x squared, so I'm going to get x squared. If I wrote it twice, I would have two negative 5 x's, and so two of them would make a negative 10x. And then negative 5 times negative 5 would be a positive 25, okay? So the first thing that I want you to notice is that x plus 3 squared became a trinomial, x squared plus 6x plus 9. X minus 5 squared became a trinomial, x squared minus 10x plus 25. So what we're going to do is we're going to take two terms. So we're going to take half or part of our trinomial, and we're going to try to figure out what the missing word is so that we can write these awesome parentheses with something squared, okay? So if I had parentheses, so this is what completing the square is. So if I had parentheses and I wrote it down twice and I did the double distributing, I would end up getting an x squared plus 8x plus what number? So there's some number, and I want to be able to take these three things. We're going backwards. So I want to be able to take those three things, and I want to write it this way, okay? So again, I want to take these three things, and I want to be able to write it this way. So if I started out with an x squared plus 6x, the missing number would be a 9, because that 9 is going to allow me to write these parentheses. X squared minus 10x, if I just had these two things, I would add a 25 because the 25 is going to allow me to write it with the parentheses. So I need a number that's going to fill in this blank that will allow me to go back and write parentheses, okay? So let's go take a look and see if we can figure out what this number is. Some of you might know what it is. Hold that thought, okay? What is half of 6? 3. What is half of 10? 5. Okay. What is half of 8? 4. So 4 is going to go inside the parentheses. Now, how do we go from 3 to 9? Okay, half of 6 is 3. What is 3 squared? 9. Half of 10 is 5. What is 5 squared? 25. What is half of 8? 4, and what is 4 squared? 16. So I'm going to add a 16 to that trinomial. And then all of this is going to be written as x plus 4 squared. Let's go do it again. X squared minus 12x plus what? So again, I'm looking for a magic number that will allow me to write these parentheses. So what is half of 12? 6. For those of you that are thinking a step ahead, what's half of negative 12? Negative 6, okay? And then what is negative 6 squared? So negative 6 times negative 6 would be a positive 36. So all of this I'm able to write as x minus 6 squared. Let's go do that one more time. If I had x squared plus 14x. What can I do to that trinomial to get it into, what can I do to this binomial, right? Yeah, it's only got two terms. What can I add to it so that I can get those parentheses? So what is half of 14? 7. What is 7 squared? 49. So if I add a 49, I'm able to take this trinomial and write it as x plus 7 squared. Okay? Let's go do a couple more and I'll show you what it's going to look like when it's all put together. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to actually kind of put a couple of extra steps to that. I'm actually going to change the directions to your paper that I attached to Google Classroom. So instead of solving the quadratic equations by completing the square, we're going to rewrite the quadratic equations by completing the square. We're just going to rewrite them today. If you can't rewrite it, you can't solve it, okay? So we got to make sure that we get that first step done. So here's what we're going to do. The first thing that we need to do is we need to go get a binomial, right? We want to be able to start with an x squared plus 8x. We want to start with an x squared minus 12x, or this x squared plus 14x. So the first thing I want to do, if I look, half of 14 is 7, and 7 squared is not 38. So 38 is not the right number. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this 38. It's in the wrong place. It's not the right number. It's out of here. Okay? So I'm going to get rid of it. So I now have p squared plus 14p. Now watch this. I promise there's a method to the madness. I'm not all that crazy, okay? Don't ask my kids, but I promise I'm not all that crazy, okay? So this 38 is not the right number, so I'm going to put plus blank, because I'm going to fill in the blank with the right number, okay? And this is going to equal, now keep in mind, the equal sign was not on any of these problems that we did earlier. It was not attached to the binomial, and so we're actually going to have to work on how to rewrite it and how to solve it, okay? So I'm trying to get basically vertex form. So again, I moved the 38 out of the way. What's the opposite of a negative 38? Okay, so it's a positive 38 on the other side. For those of you that are still adding 38 to both sides, you can do it that way too. So 0 plus 38 is still 38, okay? So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to ignore the equals 38 for just a quick hot minute, and I'm going to go fill in the blank with the right number, right? Because we're looking for that magic number that will work. Okay, so what is half of 14 again? 7. Notice how I write it underneath. That kind of helps me to write these when we're finished. So half of 14 is 7. 7 squared is 49. And since we have this equal sign, if I added a 49 here, I'm going to have to add that 49 to this side as well. Okay? All right, p squared plus 14p plus 49 is going to become p plus 7 squared. Remember, this whole trinomial gets absorbed in here. Okay? And then what is 38 plus 49? What is that? 67, I believe. Okay, so we're almost done. The last thing that I want to do is I want to bring that 67 back over so that I can see what my vertex is. So all I'm going to do is take this 67 and I'm going to subtract it over here, or just move it across the equal sign. And my final answer is p plus 7 squared minus 67 equals 0. So that is my final answer. And now you're able to pick out exactly what your vertex is. So if I asked you, hey, what's the vertex of this equation? You could say, remember, opposite of what's in the parentheses, and then not the opposite of what's out. And so there's our vertex. We're going to do that again because I know that was kind of fast and a little on the hairy side. Okay. All right, let's do that again. So number 2, okay? Again, it takes a little bit. It takes a little bit of practice. The more you do it, I promise, the better that you're going to be, okay? So let's go do the next one. Ready? 59 is the wrong number. I'm going to get rid of it, okay? So I'm going to start. I have v squared plus 6v plus I'm going to put a blank so that I can put the right number in because 59 wasn't it. Okay? My 59 was negative here, so when I move it to the other side, it's now positive. And here we go. Let's complete the square. So half of 6 is 3. 3 squared is 9. So I'm going to add 9 to the other side. Okay? Remember this whole side, b squared plus 6b plus 9 is going to get absorbed. And I'm going to rewrite it so it says b plus 3 squared. 59 plus 9 is going to be 68. My last step is just to move the 68 back over. So I get b plus 3 squared minus 68 equals 0. So we're just rewriting it. It takes a little bit. It takes a lot more just to explain it than it does sometimes to do it. If you're still, I promise we're going to do a couple more together. Again, some of you are going to be like, ooh, I think I got this. I can try it. Some of you are going to be like, dude, I'm going to need help from here until the end of time. And that's okay. Okay? If you think that that is going to be you, make sure that you make it to our next Zoom conference, which is going to be on Wednesday, right, from 11 to 12, okay? So here we go, number 3. Let's do it again, okay? 51 is the wrong number. I'm going to get rid of it. A squared plus 14a plus blank. What's half of 14? 7. 7 squared is 49. So I'm going to add 49 to 51. This side becomes a plus 7 squared. 51 plus 49 is going to be 100. And then I'm just bringing the 100 back over. So a plus 7 squared minus 100. Again, this is so we can pick out the vertex really easy. Okay, let's go do number 4. 11, wrong number. So x squared minus 12x plus. What is the right number going to be? When my 11 moves over, it's going to be a negative 11. What is half of 12? 6. For those of you that are thinking ahead, it's going to be a minus 6, okay? What is negative 6 squared? So a negative and a negative makes a positive. So you are always adding a number to both sides, okay? Negative 11 plus 36 is going to be 25. And last but not least, we're just bringing that 25 back over. So x minus 6 squared minus 25. Okay? All right. Okay, so just so you don't think that I'm just full of it and making things up, I wanted to show you. This was one of our problems from yesterday. So here it was in vertex form. We multiplied it out. We did the minus 9 at the end. We're going to go do this problem and make it look like that. I just want you to know that I promise I'm not making this stuff up. Okay, so here we go. Y equals x squared plus 2x minus 8. So I always put an equal 0 on the other side and I ignore my y equals. Let's go get rid of the negative 8. Okay, so x squared plus 2x plus what? My negative 8 becomes positive. What is half of 2? 1. So I have x plus 1 squared. But what is 1 squared? 1 times 1 is 1. I know some of you were thinking too. So I'm adding 1 to both sides. Okay, and so 8 plus 1 makes 9. And when I move it back over to the other side, it becomes negative. And if you take a look, we had x plus 1 squared minus 9. So the last thing that I wanted to tell you is that sometimes, like when you get down to the bottom, number 12, for example, it's already set up for you, which is great. Just go ahead and when you go to write it, I would put the plus blank inside there. Get it set up so that you can be successful. On the back, number 14, it's not set up for you. And so you want to bring the 18n over. Okay, so you want to rewrite this one as n squared minus 18n. Okay, and then here's what's going to happen. Tomorrow's lesson, I'm going to show you how to do number 15 and number 16. So your goal today is just to get through numbers 1 through 14. 16.